The following video demonstrates how to replace the rear strut pivot on your 8.0 Clicgear cart. Now this is a fairly straightforward process and should take you no more than about 15 minutes to do along with this video. So you'll need a few tools. You'll need a Phillips screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. You'll need a 10mm box end or open end wrench and a 10mm socket, preferably with extension, and also a 19mm socket. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is remove the nut and bolts on the inside of the strut pivot. So remove that nut and bolt, and once you do that, then you can pull open the brake guard. Okay, so now we want to take the flat screwdriver and pop off that cap and get your 10mm socket, and you're going to loosen up that nut inside of that recess. And then you're going to remove the brake pin assembly from the brake cable. Alright, so now you want your Phillips screwdriver and your 10mm wrench and remove that last nut and bolt from the strut pivot housing. Okay, now you want to slide the strut pivot off of the cart, and then you're going to take your 19mm socket and remove the nut and take off the strut pivot from the wheel. Okay, now it's time to put your new strut pivot onto the wheel. So go ahead and put that strut pivot onto the wheel, and then once you've done that, slide the strut pivot back onto the struts on the cart. So we're now going to replace the upper bolt and nut onto the strut pivot. Now when you do this, do not over tighten this, just lightly tighten this. We'll tighten it up fully later. Okay, so now we're going to reattach the brake pin assembly. You'll need the socket with 10mm head on it this time. Alright, so go ahead and slide the brake pin assembly on through the cable. Then you want to slot the pin with the spring into the recess area, and then grab the brake cable and slot it into that hole below the nut. Once you've done that and it's in, depress the brake pin fully, then take your 10mm socket and retighten that nut. Alright, final step here. So you want to depress the brake pin, then rotate the brake guard and align it with the strut pivot holes and the strut. Once you've done that, slot the bolt through, and then we're going to fully tighten that nut. Once you have that nut fully tightened, you can go ahead and now fully tighten the upper nut onto the bolt as well. Then replace the cap over the nut on the brake cable, and you're done. So we hope you found this video helpful, and for more informative videos and to see all of our great products, go to clicgearusa.com.